All right, so now joined by another resident MMA fighter here in Windsor. Signed to Bellator MMA and sporting a 3-1 professional record, and coming off a big win recently is the Rose City Phoenix, Randy Field. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. So again, as we mentioned, we can't skip over coming off this big finish in Hawaii recently. I'm sure that had to have been a great feeling just to get the win, right?
Yeah, it was a great feeling, especially after, you drill something over and over again. The first time it
Mhm.
failed. And then the second time I was like, I know what to do. I did this over and over again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sweet, and we'll probably get into it too. But obviously, a beautiful finish, and getting your blue belt just after that too probably had a lot to do with it, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was awesome. Like I've done a lot of one-on-one training for my jujitsu. I haven't put the gi on, but like
Oh yeah.
it's it takes a lot of time, and for us, we're trying to like fast track everything because I started so late in life. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I train too. I'm a purple belt, and I get it. I mean, you're doing MMA, right? So
yeah,
obviously, more focusing on no gi would be a little more beneficial and maybe more practical, right?
yep.
All right. Yeah. Well, anyway, it was a little bit of a last minute thing for you as well, too, right? If not mistaken, you were the replacement for somebody. Nope.
Unless they didn't tell me that.
But obviously, a long training camp thing going into it.
No, I mean, I wasn't matched up with her. I feel like until maybe 5 weeks before.
Okay.
Um, it was like a thing that we were trying to find somebody for me.
Ah.
A couple girls said no, and then I remember they sent me like three names, and Mariah was the last one that I wanted to fight. I was like, she's scrappy as hell, but that ended up being the fight. And like for me, like I work hard enough. Like it's obviously attainable. So it went well.
Oh, obviously, yeah. And I mean, any challenge is a challenge, right? And in this game, still early on, as you mentioned, or as we talked about, 3-1, at least into the pro ranks of it. Obviously, we've seen you fight here, but being able to fight in Hawaii and then spend some time before and after there, just before your birthday as well. So I got to stick around and spend some time there. Must have been really cool, right?
It was amazing. Amazing. The whole experience was just like eye opening. And I'm so grateful. Like I'm so grateful for my life.
Yeah. Again, it's just the things that you get out of what you do, right? And we'll talk probably about training and traveling around the world and being able to do so through the sport. But again, it all kind of started here. All the roads kind of lead back to Windsor, and how did it all start for you? As you said, it was kind of a late start, late bloomer, at least in regards to the combat sport realm. So, were you always into it, or how did it come to be?
Now, when I was a kid, I did judo for 7 years. But then I got into high school, and then, I started getting bullied, and then I started hanging out with the wrong crowd, and I just completely lost that. And then again, when I was 24, I'd say I hit my rock bottom, and just kind of stumbled into a MMA gym, and one of the coaches there ended up picking me up, Manny, and he saw something in me that nobody else could see. And I'm really grateful that he did do that, because if he would have listened and told people that I like listened to what people said when they said I was troubled and not to work with me, we never would have discovered what my potential really was. So yeah, when I started, I like 6 months into training, I had my first boxing match, and then I did a tournament, and then we did an MMA show in 2015. That went very well. I won by TKO in round one. And then there was, I remember we had another amateur fight here, and oh my God, I was just lighting this girl up. And then I didn't have enough ground game at the time. So, I took her down, thought I was going to ground and pound. You go nuts for the crowd. You let them like in what you're doing. And then all of a sudden my back got taken. So then we started focusing more on the jiu-jitsu. And then, wrestling is something I'm actually really good at, but I just don't do it in my fights. And I don't know if it's because I'm old and I'm scared of hurting myself, but yeah. Yeah, it's really like it's unwinded very nicely. And I'm a part of 3 amazing gyms. I got Hybrid Trading Academy, which is local. I have Michigan Top Team just across the border. And then I have CSA gym, which is in California. So I have 3 gyms behind me, which they've all helped develop who I am today.
That's cool. And it's crazy how the connections can be throughout the entire world and kind of all lead back to home too. Just again, it all started with stepping into a gym, an MMA gym in Windsor, and then it leads you to California and Hawaii and all these places down the road, right? So obviously the connections are everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Well, so I was going to mention that too. Obviously a lot of different disciplines within MMA and a lot of different places to do that. So I wanted to talk about the different places and training partners and trainers that you have. And you talked about it between HTA and you were at MTC as well. So a lot of people probably to give accolades to. But as you mentioned right now, training between a few different clubs. What's kind of, I guess, the regular week like? Are you going over to Michigan a lot and getting down to California whenever you can, or how does that all work for you?
Yeah, just like during fighting camps, I try and go. Like my first one in Phoenix, I went to California twice, so for 3 weeks in total. And then for this one, I went there for 10 days. It was a little bit like the fight was last minute, so I only had 2 weeks down there. I stayed for a coach's clinic, which I met so many people there this time. There's Derek Lewis's coach, Bob Perez. He was awesome. There's Mao. He's like Muay Thai, amazing. Like there were so many different eyes to look at me this camp, it was wonderful to meet so many different amazing coaches. Coach K is in California, Kieran Fitzgibbons. And then, I have, oh my God, there's so many training partners. Like everybody has put in a little bit of work and, and it was so nice. Like fight night, I'm getting messages from all my teammates at all the gyms. And I really, really felt supported. I try and head over to Michigan Top Team at least twice a week. It is hard because, we have 3 kids at home and just trying to make everything work, but we definitely do. And then making sure I get done my strength and conditioning. That was something I sacrificed for my last camp because I was trying to gain weight.
Yeah.
And I made that huge mistake. I shouldn't have worried about that so much because I died that first fight in Bellator. And so, the camp looked a lot different. I was going to Michigan Top Team a little bit more. And then also, just doing a lot of cardio.
Yeah. And, all those sacrifices and all those different disciplines, that's obviously what it takes to get to that stage in the game and to be sharp as well. Something that we always talk about with the MMA fighters is, being, honorable or being committed to your club obviously is huge, but you need to be able to get as much beneficial training as possible and maybe bounce around if needed, right?
For sure.
All right, yeah. So, all right, I guess let's talk a little bit about growing up in Windsor, right? So born and raised in Windsor, like what area were you from, what schools you go to, all that kind of stuff, I guess.
I actually grew up in South Windsor. I went to St. Gabriel Grade School and Holy Names High School. I as a kid, oh my God, so adventurous. And like, I would just go hop on my bike and I'd be gone until the streetlights came on,
Yeah.
I like to skateboard. We would bike, jump off of ramps. We would blow shit up all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know where our parents were. We were like blowing up axe cans in garages with fire. Like very but yeah, my parents were awesome when I was younger. And then, eventually my parents went through their divorce and it was just like my whole world just like spiraled out of control. It was just like, I don't have the good memories past a certain age. And you want to say, oh, she grew up in South Windsor and blah, blah, blah. Like we lost our house, there was a lot of trials and tribulations that, my family went through, which is why, as a fighter, I am who I am. Like I can take a freaking beating, but I will always come back because that's just what our life has always been,
Mm-hmm.
So, a little bit about me.
Yeah, and we obviously that everyone has their own unique story, but a lot of tough people in Windsor. So obviously having that community pride and stuff has probably helped you a bit as well, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's rough.
What's that? Sorry.
It can be rough around here.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's crazy. Again, we talk with so many people, how many, tough fighters or hockey players or football players or whatever have come out of here. And again, just add your name to the list. Were you always involved in a lot of sports, always kind of like a sporty kid, or just in the neighborhood?
Definitely just in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like I remember we played basketball like every recess. This game called wall ball, which sounds so dangerous when I'm like looking it up, because I'm like, I remember playing this, but it's like we whipped the balls at the
like
wall.
Wall burner.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I like that kind of stuff, but I don't think like I'll do everything, but I'm not good.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm good at
people invite you to go, you're not going to say no, right? But
exactly. Yeah. I never played on any sport. I did like track and field. That was the only team that I was on.
Okay, yeah. So I guess, I mean, in any kind of organized sports, it was boxing and MMA is your real experience. I guess judo, as you mentioned too, right?
Yeah. I did very well when I did judo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very, very well. My mom got a lot of phone calls from like little boys' parents that I was like them, and yeah. But I wish I never stopped it, because like now that I'm so into this, like I wish that I would have stuck with it. But then again, you see these young fighters who can barely walk because like this is a rough sport.
Oh, yeah.
Like I dislocated my thumb.
Yeah.
And, like it's like something's always happening to us, but it's so worth it.
And a lot of it is worth it, but a lot of the training, or sorry, the injuries come within training too, right? So it's just like, oh my God, it's the worst part of it all.
Oh yeah, like and like this is something like people don't know, like this camp, within the 5 weeks I had to get 3 shots of cortisone because like I was reacting everywhere. I'm not going to tell everyone my injuries, but it was like one day I got the cortisone and it went right into my nerve, and it felt like there was a blowtorch on my foot for like 4 hours. So I couldn't walk for a few days. And it's like, people, and it's my fault for reading comments, but like people go online and they talk all their shit. And it's like, I'd love to see your fat ass get in there and do what we do. Maybe they're not even fat. I don't know, but it's just rude.
Yeah, no, for sure. And again, like that shows just that stuff right there shows the toughness and what goes into it. Obviously people watch and can see the fight, but you don't know everything that happens in those 5-6 weeks or months that lead up to it, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
And so we're talking about kind of going back to the beginning and growing up here in Windsor, getting into the fight game. When you stepped into that gym, was the mentality like, this is a cool thing, I'd like to do MMA, I'd like to fight, or did it just kind of all start to come to be as you were training, like, okay, maybe I'll box, maybe I'll grapple, kind of thing?
I didn't even think of it. I just thought of it like I was rough. Like I've been into a couple street fights before. Like I just really enjoyed it. It was a great workout. Like I was really, at the time I wasn't really educated on how to work out in a gym. Like I would just go ham on the treadmill or things like that. So this was like a challenge for me, things that I really liked doing. And then eventually Manny had asked me if I was interested in fighting, and it sounds so cool. And you're like, yeah, for sure, I want to fight. And then it was like the hammer came down. It was like no drinking, no, any recreational smoking. I don't even know. But yeah, like I couldn't do anything. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, and like my life at the time was a lot different than what it is now. So that was hard for me. But I just celebrated 3 years sober, so it's not like a huge thing anymore. But yeah, it was something that, I wasn't getting any younger, and I did have talent in it. And yeah, we just kind of got the ball rolling, and
so it all just sparked. You seen the talent, as you mentioned, and some passion to do this, right?
Yep. Yeah, to change. It was about changing my life. And like when you really, like, you're starting at a point that you don't want to be here anymore, and now this is like a life that you're like fighting to keep. Like I want this life always. Is awesome.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that can be a metaphor, but I guess for yourself, pretty literal when you're in the cage, right? Fighting for yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's cool. And we've seen a lot of it too. A lot of it started here in Windsor, a lot of your fights, right?
Yep.
And then you get the call from Bellator, and you end up signing with them just a few years ago. So how did that all kind of come to be?
It was just our management team had told us, you know, looking at us at Invicta, we had a Hoist Gracie just texted me right now. How cool.
That is freaking amazing. Tell him I said what up. Tell him I said what up.
Okay, so anyways, what were you just saying? I just got excited.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so you weren't expecting that text message?
No, I wasn't. That's pretty cool.
That's cool. I see, speaking of which, I see a lot of interesting people commenting on your stuff on Instagram as well, with some blue check marks. And so
Yeah.
I know people that, you know, it might be a little taboo, but I see a lot of people commenting.
Check. So it looks cool when I comment on people's shit too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. It's cool to have you on. But we were kind of just talking about, I don't even remember now too, because Gracie texted you. But so a lot of it happening here, starting here, you know, we wanted to talk about getting signed to Bellator.
Yes, getting signed with Bellator. Yeah, we talked to Invicta as well. And we were just kind of like making a decision, but then, you know, if I got signed with one company, I was going to get shelved for a little bit. And it was like, no, I had to get the ball rolling. So then we ended up signing with Bellator. I think it was in September. And then I was training for my first, it was the first week of December. And then I got my elbow dislocated in practice in October. So that sucked. That completely like threw a wrench in. And I honestly think that Bellator forgot about me because it was like a year until I was able to compete again. So I had to go get reconstructive surgery on my elbow. And then when I came back, it was like I got offered a fight. It was versus Sumiko. And it was like, okay, she just fought 4 months ago and 6 months ago. And I watched her fight these girls, and she's tough as hell. And I was like, they're setting me up. And, you know, like I had that feeling throughout that whole training camp that it was just like, you know, I'm coming in, even like they have the blue gloves on, you don't feel like they want you to win. So like, I don't know, I kind of felt like my mental game was really off that first one. So, and also like my elbow, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I lost an inch of reach on there, but then, you know, you figure everything out. But yeah, that was crazy getting signed with them so quickly and just having 2 fights.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, probably the second biggest MMA promotion in North America, right? So it's cool to see someone from Windsor to be, you know, in it and signed to it, right? So it's very cool to see it. I remember when it happened too, it kind of explains a bit, because I remember, you know, hearing the announcement, and then there was a little bit before you had that first fight. So obviously kind of explained what happened there.
Mm-hmm.
And again, so just it's cool to see someone in it, and obviously it's been a wild ride for you so far from the very beginning to today. And it's cool that you could still do all this, travel around the world, and still live here in Windsor. Still, you know, go home, like you said, you got 3 kids at home, and be a mom, and just live a normal lifestyle outside of this a little bit too, as normal as you probably can make it, right?
Yep. That's just as important as everything else, you know, like I have to make sure like everything is just balanced, you know, because you do take a lot of time away from the kids, but you know, afterwards I'm like, I'm right here. We're going to Disneyland. What else do you want to do? You know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Again, then, you know, take advantage of everything that you get through the sport too, right? But again, a lot of people don't realize that, well, you know, obviously everyone's just a human being. At the end of the day, you might do what some people don't do, but you know, you have a regular lifestyle just like everyone else, right?
My own gas.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're a grown ass woman, right? I love it. And you're a massage therapist, Monday through Friday, kind of 9 to 5 job. Is that what you're normally doing, or?
No, I cut down my hours quite a bit. Like I was going to, when I got signed with Bellator, I was going to stop for about a year, just so I could focus on my training. But then I dislocated the elbow, so I was just off anyways. But it was tough because, you know, we didn't have sponsorship, nothing like that coming in. So, yeah, I ended up cutting my hours when I came back. So I'm working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at Elevate Health Boutique. And yeah, just I'm not working like the crazy hours I used to work before.
Yeah. So that's your job. That's like your, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So, it's again, kind of again, part of the whole lifestyle, having a normal, quote unquote normal job, still doing your fighting and just
Yep.
living life at home too. It's cool to hear these things, tell these stories, and love to tell your story here on the show. And of course, now coming back after that win and spending some time in Hawaii, you just taking some time to chill, or you getting ready for what's next, or what might be happening in the future for you.
Yeah, I'm just rehabbing right now. And then like I'm still going to the gym, I'm still running, I'm still lifting a little bit. Today I did a little round of jujitsu, got to practice what to do on my back. That was like some white belt stuff there, but yeah, we stay in it always. You want to stay in good shape.
Of course. Yeah.
But definitely not pressuring myself. If I can't make it to training one day,
Yeah.
I'm not good for the world. So like today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And it's a nice day too. It's Mother's Day weekend, so take a load off for sure. But
Yep.
then just wait for the next call, and then whatever happens with Bellator, or is there anything in the works, or?
Yeah, well, I do have 2 fights left with them, so we'll see when those come. I said, if I could fight in Vegas, that would be amazing, because people that would fly out to Vegas for a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be cool to have some people. This past fight, I didn't realize the girl that I fought was from like right around the venue. So, they announced her, everyone's like, woo, like I thought we still had the crowd. And then they announced my name, and it was like, you could hear a freaking pin drop in there. I was like, okay, that's cool. I did not know that. So that was like,
yeah. You could tell watching it.
Yeah. I was like, maybe it was good that I didn't know that she was hometown, but
Maybe, yeah, because obviously it all worked out, and you ruined the show for her, so it's all good for you.
Yeah. She did a good job.
Yeah, of course, tough fights. Everyone is. So it's
Mhm.
cool again to tell your story. We have a lot of MMA fighters from Windsor, or who have been in many high ranks, and it's cool to tell your story and to be part of this group. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.